Hello, 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 everybody. Another week of Amazon Seller News Live. Appreciate everybody out there joining me. We've got Eric Weiser with us today and Chris McCabe. So, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys joining me. I think it's going to be a good one. We've got some good news articles to dive into and a good variety of perspectives because Chris is in the world of helping people if they get suspended and listings taken down, stuff like that. Eric is big into brand partnerships and reselling, along with myself and also private label and things. So should have a good variety of perspectives. But anybody out there watching, if you have any questions, comments, concerns related to the news articles we're covering or anything Amazon in general, make sure you throw them in the comments. As always, we love bringing you guys into the show and talking about that stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our first news article here. So the new Amazon Seller Challenge benefit lets you dispute rulings. Amazon has launched the Seller Challenge feature, giving account health assurance sellers a new way to dispute enforcement decisions after standard appeals fail. This allows sellers to request a prioritized review within 48 hours, offering a faster path to reinstate important listings. Sellers get 3 challenge slots every 180 days and must use them strategically, as only listing level enforcement cases qualify, and denied challenges can't be retired or retried for 6 months. For Amazon sellers, this is a valuable tool, but limited opportunity to protect high-performing ASINs during peak seasons, especially when unfair suspensions can hurt revenue. So definitely curious on your guys' thoughts on this. I've got some of my own, but Chris, why don't we jump over to you first on this, since this is kind of your world that you deal with every single day with a variety of sellers.
Yeah, I mean, it's good news that this exists. I would say take it with a grain of salt at the outset until we have some experiences and some data and some specifics under us. They've made half-hearted stabs at things like this before that haven't really turned out that great.
Yeah.
So I know it's kind of wet blanket commentary, but maybe this time will be different. 3 of them in 180 days is not a lot. So maybe they just don't want to drown in them initially, which is fine. But I would just take it with a grain of salt, because actually there already are ways of doing this anecdotally outside of seller support or, outside of the traditional Seller Central channels. There are already means of doing this that exist that people use every day by emailing appeals. So the novelty is just in the delivery. It's not necessarily a fully new system. It's just that they're trying to throw kind of, I won't say throw a bone, but they're throwing a line to people who are just chasing their own tails, going in circles on some of these appeals. Hopefully for a key ASIN, a top seller, you can break out of that, vicious cycle earlier. Maybe it'll be good for that. I was reading through some of they say they'll respond within 48 hours. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see if they actually deliver on some of these promises. Is there any indication that their heightened or escalated review process is different or better than the initial one that resulted in the appeal getting rejected? The number one problem right now is appeals get rejected constantly, all the time, and there's no rhyme or reason to why. And they're refusing, at least right now, they're refusing to part with the reasons why appeals are getting rejected. They kind of give some murky explanations, for why some pieces of an appeal might be denied, but not holistically or in any comprehensive way. Yeah. So that's the piece that would have to fundamentally change with this. If they're going to, let's say, reject your challenge, well, okay, so I burned a challenge and I've got 2 more for the next 100 and something days, but why was my challenge rejected? If they're not going to part ways with that explanation, then it's got significantly less value than otherwise.
Yeah, that is one of the most frustrating things dealing with support, I think, when they're basically like, your appeal is denied for a reason that we can't tell you, and to get it back up and running, you have to guess what the problem is and also guess what the solution is, which we're also not going to tell you.
Yep.
And yeah, that can be very frustrating for sure.
Or account health reps give you an explanation, but it's based on their opinion and based on past conversations with similar sellers in similar circumstances. So it's not necessarily, oh, I've got the solution that fits your situation to a T. All you have to do is write it up, show how you're going to execute it or implement it. That's kind of the way it used to work, especially when I worked at Amazon. That's what we were looking for. Somewhere over the years, that piece or two got lost in translation.
I wonder, is this just a play on Amazon? All of a sudden we have Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime TV. Is this just too many people at Amazon watching football on Prime? But here's the good news. And I think it's a little bit tricky, but Amazon is certainly listening. Like, this is something that people want. But is it, at this time, just like a lot of Amazon things, it just feels like lipstick on a pig. Like, there's still problems. And Chris has hit it on the head. Like, at the end of this, in order for sellers to get better, we just have to learn why. Here's good news in marketplace news. eBay has an authenticity program for shoes, sports cards, purses, things like that. And through their authenticity program, if your item is denied authenticity, they'll give you the reason why. And it's like a drop-down thing. It's not always exactly perfect, but they do tell you why. And the example that came through our office the other day was a sports card was slabbed by PSA, like the number one third-party authenticator. So it's good. It goes to the authenticator, but the authenticator didn't like the third-party authenticator of said third-party PSA said that the seller did not disclose a scratch on the PSA slab. And so that was enough for them to reject that the authenticity of the item. Seems a little crazy, but it did get rejected for one of our clients. And so it's out there. Like, if eBay can do it, Amazon can certainly do it. So it's probably coming.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, it's execution will be everything, as you mentioned, Chris. And hopefully this combined with the seller support AI chatbot, assuming that it's trained properly, it would be nice if the AI is able to resolve a majority of the common situations that people deal with. And then those uncommon ones where you just get stuck in the loop, you can use one of these challenges to break out of it and actually talk to a human and get it resolved. But that'll be interesting to see too, right? With the AI, obviously they're trying to use that to replace their frontline seller support people. So is this going to be the way that Amazon is going to allow you to actually talk to a real human in the future, perhaps?
You can talk to real humans now. I don't know if that's the answer. A lot of account health reps give paradoxical or contradictory guidance and advice. Yeah. Some of that is because they don't know the why. They might want to tell you the why, but they either don't know or they can't locate it.
Yeah, we have the same thing. We talk to live humans all the time too, and it's with limited success. I would just say, if you it takes way too long, of course.
Yeah.
Success is out there. It's a long way to get there.
Not every day is Seller Cafe. I mean, if you went to Accelerate, a lot of people reported a lot of good. I mean, I definitely had some good experiences with sitting with somebody, getting to the crux of the matter quickly. I mean, if you could simulate that on an hourly or daily basis when there aren't conferences in Seattle with thousands of people, if we can get to that, then great. But I don't know if that's what this is.
Yeah. Well, have you had much experience with the AI chatbot yet for seller support, Chris?
We don't do much with support. For us, support kind of jumped the shark a long time ago.
Okay.
And I mean, for certain things, let me be more specific. For account compromises, for technical issues, for getting to catalog teams, For very precise, specific functional stuff, we go through support, not for appeals, not for anything outside of pretty much those three things I just mentioned. And the new challenge is a pilot, right? I mean, it's kind of being dribbled out very slowly. So I haven't seen much. I certainly haven't seen enough, experience or data to say like, oh, this is clearly the direction it's going to take. I think this is a means of, ideally they would have tested it over the summer. So it's kind of, cruising altitude by fall and by Q4, and that's not how it went. But I guess this is an attempt to, like, somebody gets a major listing down in Q4 and they don't have 7 days to get it back up. They're losing too much revenue, or 2 weeks or whatever. Yep. So they want to throw a line, like, well, let's try this. Maybe some people can get a listing back up in 48 hours. And I mean, if that's true, then that's great, because this is the best time of year to have that kind of problem solved quickly. But the AI stuff, we mostly experience their AI with listing takedowns that are erroneous. And we're doing appeals for, like, we looked at what happened. We can see what you're trying to do, but that's not what happened, And fortunately, we can report that a lot of that is fixable quickly. We haven't heard too many nightmares of, like, clearly AI misfired, took my listing down, and it's been 21 days. Like, I don't hear that too often. So,
okay. Yeah, I get a lot of AI breaking up variations incorrectly. That's the thing that I'm battling all the time. Especially, I sell a lot of stuff in, say, the fishing niche, and the colors there are like pumpkin watermelon and crawfish and names like that, that if you're into fishing, it makes sense, what those colors are. But I can imagine the AI is probably like, well, these aren't colors, these are animals or something, And so it's breaking up those variations, and then we got to recreate them and just wait for when it gets broken up again. So, but yeah, hopefully over time it'll get better and learn those kind of things.
You must have infinite patience, Todd. You must just,
no,
your yoga routine
that's why
is
I
working.
hire people to do that stuff now. That I had to give up talking with seller support a while ago, because I just quickly get to the point of swearing at them now, and that doesn't help anything. So I outsource that to my employees as much as possible. Yeah. But I did notice a little bit of ambiguity in there. We aim to respond to all cases in 48 hours. So they're giving themselves that wiggle room to not respond in 48 hours if they have to. But
also imagine that people are going to internalize all that info, and so sellers are already using 48 hours as a clock in their head. And if they don't hear back, I don't know if Amazon realizes, if those 2 days come and go and it's peak holiday Q4 time where you're losing more sales, they're going to generate a bunch of new contacts from the sellers who don't hear back in a timely manner, either complaining that they haven't heard back or sending an appeal the old way or current ways. And then there's going to be some more spin in, like, a side channel or a parallel funnel of appeals. So you have to anticipate that's going to be going on, where they might be looking at one part of it, but not the recent thing you sent in. That's how it goes now, right? People send in multiple appeals. They read one and the other two are floating around somewhere. So.
Yeah. And that's something with Amazon, it just can be expected, I think, with every other thing they've launched in the past, like AWD, for example. They make giant claims with that and push everyone to use it as their upstream storage. And right now you can't even send a box into AWD. The last I tried, not even a UPS box. So they're so overloaded, and we're just at the beginning of Q4, but yet, you're still getting charged storage fees, high storage fees, and FBA and everything else. And it's not possible to use the upstream storage that they have. So with everything Amazon, I'm sure there's going to be hiccups and issues and taking longer than 48 hours. With the AI that they're implementing, again, assuming that they're going to do it correctly, with multiple cases floating around, say on the same thing, hopefully the AI would be smart enough to be able to, bring those together and actually collect all that information and make a resolution quicker. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Sometimes AI can be a blessing. Sometimes it can be a curse, depending on what you're trying to get it to do. Like, for example, with the news, right? I've been playing with trying to get AI to go out and search for news to use. And it's so difficult because I'm like, try to find me news in the last 7 days about Amazon. And gives me news articles from like 2024 and earlier 2025. It'll give me like index pages of lists of articles and stuff. And it's just, it can be helpful with a lot of things, and other things not so much. Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see. It's good that they're trying. I just hope that it works for people, because seller support has long been a frustration for a lot of people.
I think you're right. They're rotating those people out. Instead of trying to fix the way it is now, it's going to be something different in the future with fewer people,
Oh yeah, definitely. AI, they're trying to replace the frontline people with AI. And if done right, it could be a lot better, because AI can process, decades of queries very quickly and hopefully come up with the right answer. But that's only if it's done correctly.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and jump on to the next article we got here. Amazon FBA raises fees and changes delivery promises. So Amazon will increase FBA fulfillment fees starting January 15th in 2026, with an average rise of 8 cents per unit, alongside adjustments to storage, removal, and aged inventory fees. While some bulky product tiers will see small fee reductions, multi-channel fulfillment, Buy with Prime, and AWD West region costs are all increasing. Sellers will also face slower delivery promises for products with low supply and sales velocity, as Amazon prioritizes faster moving inventory in its decentralized fulfillment network. For Amazon sellers, this means tightening margins, the need for more precise inventory planning, and potential price adjustments ahead of Q1 2026. So this is one of those articles like, well, yeah, of course, Amazon's always raising fees. But, Amazon is much more matured. It's a harder platform to sell on, I think, in the past, at least margin wise, as margins get squeezed from all directions. So I'm curious on your guys' thoughts and projections for 2026 and where you see things going on Amazon.
Yeah, we're already starting to see. So we sell 2/3 of our business is wholesale, 1/3 is private label. So 2/3 of the business is competing for the buy box with on national brands with lots of other sellers, including Amazon, and about 1/3 of those listings. Rewind 10 years ago, if Amazon sold the product, you'd have about a 2% shot at the buy box. Now we're seeing that slip below 50%, sometimes even below 1/3, especially, and this is what they're talking about, especially on low velocity items. So Amazon's still prioritizing speed of delivery. And so as a 3PL warehouse in the Midwest, that's a great spot to be, but it still takes us 2 days to get to both coasts. So we'll lose to a 3PL on the West Coast or a 3PL on the East Coast, or if it's sitting in Amazon FC and one of those. But as we have product in Amazon fulfillment centers, sometimes the fulfillment centers aren't so smart on where they're putting product. And so we'll see outsized buy box on some items because we're in an FC, or undersized buy box percentage on some items too. And so what we're doing is strategically keeping more products at our fulfillment center because we're in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
And we're seeing outsized buy box performance even over Amazon retail. And
Really?
I think on part of that is not on the fast moving stuff. We don't really sell, our biggest items will sell a few thousand a month, nothing like 10,000 a month or 100,000 a month. And we're seeing it a lot on these items, expensive items that sell 50 or 80 a month. the buy box is absolutely wacky, and we're looking at basically how do we tighten up that shipping time? Should we start to ship more things second day air FedEx if we can make that work? And so we're testing a lot of that right now.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's so you're winning. Are you winning the buy box over FBA items as an
Over
FBM seller then sometimes
Yes.
at a similar price?
Yes.
Very good.
And especially on it's harder to look at the data on the fast moving stuff because there's so many other variables. It's on the slower moving, these 50 to 100 items a month. We're seeing a lot of that.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, very good. Especially since you're, like you said, you're strategically placed in the Midwest there, which there's not as many companies in that area. So,
Right.
You don't have as much competition for that kind of thing. So that makes sense. All right. Very good. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Anytime we talk about fees, we just say it's less margin for error. You need to make as much as possible, so you just have fewer opportunities for mistakes with things like listing deactivations, or not just with what we do. I mean, messing up your ad spend where you're spending a lot and not getting a lot back. I think you have to always count on each new year some announcement like this. When they didn't raise fees this year, it kind of guaranteed that they'd raise them next year, right? That's the way people took it, that you'd have like a reprieve in 2025, but in 2026, first of all, other cost challenges came up instead of fees this year.
Fees went up for sure.
So there were non-fee fees.
I just didn't call them fees. Yeah.
Right. It's like the old taxes thing. I don't know.
Right.
Who remembers the old days of political campaigns and people saying we won't raise your taxes and using that as a basis for getting elected? Well, then what happened? They had to create revenue in other ways, and they just didn't call them taxes, right? So, so it's just less margin for error on, not to steer it back to what we do every day with appeals, but it just means get it right. If you have a listing that has value to you and it's down for 3 months, maybe you could have gotten it up in 3 days or 3 weeks, and that's revenue in your pocket to pay some of these fees. And also, it doesn't suck up your attention as much. If you resolve things quickly on the account health side, it means that you can devote attention to some of these other, logistics equations and other challenges elsewhere in your business. I see a lot of people kind of crippled by getting stuck in the gears of these different teams who, quite honestly, the teams I used to work on, we didn't have a lot of incentive. We weren't answerable to too many people, like not publicly, certainly back in those days. We were completely behind the wall. Now you're kind of somewhat answerable to like SAS core managers, but I mean, the phone call goes to account health. It never goes to my teams, my former teams. So it's just less margin for error, I would say do less trial and error. If you don't have a strategy, I mean, even if it's something completely unrelated to what we do, like let's say reimbursement ticket filing or something, like you need a strategy for any process that Amazon has. So unless you have a bona fide, tested, tried and true strategy, don't experiment too much. Don't like wing it too much, because then you just spend more time on it. Probably you lose money somewhere in that process. And, fees are just a reality, like taxes that are never going away. So you can't wish them away. That's not going to work.
Yeah. I don't see them ever going down, because we got to remember too, for the Federal Reserve, their target is a 2% inflation every year. And it's been above that the last many years now. So just naturally, the prices of everything have to go up because the value of your dollar is going down. So you're going to see rises just from that alone. And then, of course, Amazon is becoming more and more of the behemoth and controlling everything. So they have the power to increase fees, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So with that in mind, I guess, what do you guys see for 2026 and beyond for competitors to Amazon? Do you see Walmart continuing to rise, or someone else to challenge the dominance of Amazon, or is Amazon going to remain the king for the foreseeable future?
Well, you said 26 first, so I answered 2026. I mean, I think the pie is still growing. Like people, my I've got no grandparents left, right? And my kid keeps getting older and older, so he likes buying online, searching online. So I think the pie is growing, which means Walmart will probably grow. Like you want to be on Walmart. We're in automotive for a lot of our listings, so we want to be on eBay. And we're actually seeing like some outsized growth, just a little bit on eBay. We're not 100% sure why. Obviously, the sports card market is growing like crazy on eBay, and nobody else has solved that yet, really. But I mean, for 2026, Amazon ain't going nowhere, obviously.
Still kings. Yeah. For a while. There's no Walmart grows what percentage every year? I mean, they've got some reliable percentage growth year over year, which is great for them, but they don't pose a serious challenge to Amazon at this time. I mean, maybe certain categories, certain types of products, I guess, but I'm a bit biased. I'm an all Amazon shop. So, I don't do any, Walmart or eBay stuff, but I don't know if the conversation is as interesting as it could be if Walmart got the memo a little earlier, maybe back when I was still at Amazon in those years, or maybe in the last 5-6 years. I think they could have accelerated some of their growth and eaten into, I mean, they had the resources, right? Walmart's not out there saying we're resource poor. we don't have any ability to catch up to Amazon or to, redirect any of these.
Yep.
They could have caught up a lot quicker. I don't know if that's, they brought in Mark Laurie and he was there. It feels like he wasn't there that long, but I think they just missed the most serious challenger would be Walmart, unless you guys, are thinking about like Temu and Shane and things like that. But
yeah, before the tariff wars, I definitely was.
Yeah.
Since then, I think the possibility is greatly diminished for them in the United States for now. But yeah, I would agree. Walmart is the biggest challenger. So for me, just to kind of look at it from a different angle, Amazon's dominance definitely isn't going anywhere for a while, and it's not going to flip in 2026. But I do see competitors like Walmart going to continue to chip away at Amazon's percentage of the market. And the reason I think that is going to happen is because e-commerce is one of the lower profit margin centers for Amazon at this point. They make a lot more from AWS and logistics and fulfillment. And so they're going to focus more and more on those things. And so I think that leaves room for competitors in the e-commerce world to chip away at their share of the market, because they're going to put less attention on that just by the nature of wanting to focus on their profit centers. So I do see an opportunity there for Walmart and maybe even some kind of Shopify marketplace if they can figure that out. I think that could be huge. Or who knows, some third party could pop up and take some market share as well. But Amazon's dominance is going to remain for a while, but I think it's going to be on the decline here going forward into the future.
Well, Walmart could solve last mile. They have the infrastructure, they have the resources, and that's one of Amazon's vulnerable areas, right? They haven't mastered last mile delivery. So my question, I guess, would be to them or anyone is, why haven't they put all their chips on that spot? I mean, if word got out that they could do kind of a one-day Prime or within several hours get you the item from a local Walmart store,
yep,
then they would be way ahead of Amazon in a very exclusive area. So I would think that would be somewhere that, again, they've had many opportunities to kind of focus on these things and press on some pain points for Amazon and make some headway, and they haven't done it yet. So
yeah, I've had that experience from Walmart a couple times now where I wanted to get this bike for a gift, and Walmart was able to deliver it the same day, from one of their local stores. And I just recently had another one where I wanted to buy this specific, it's like a $700-800 laser printer for the business. And Amazon, I think Amazon just had it like FBM or something where it would take like a week, and Walmart, I signed up for the trial of Walmart Plus and I was able to take advantage of that and get very quick delivery of this printer. So still most of my purchases are on Amazon, but Walmart is definitely stealing some here and there with the quick delivery, or having certain products that maybe I can't get on Amazon as fast as I would like them. So that could leave an opportunity too, right? Because this article says that they're going to have slower delivery on slower selling products. So if a Walmart is able to have faster delivery on those slower selling products, that could be a little bit of an opportunity there as well. Or you, Eric, with FBM, right? That's just going to help you guys in that area as well.
Yeah, and we've always been a big believer on we don't compete against diapers and batteries. We compete against the pink handled screwdrivers, something that's a little bit oddball, and that typically people are willing to wait for. Bikes as a birthday present, that's an interesting one that Walmart could solve if they have them in store, of course.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. They've got stores all over. So even if they have to run the bike from, 50 miles away or something like that, it may make sense for them if they have the margin to do that.
Sure.
Just to get it to you so quickly that you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll buy some other stuff from Walmart too then. And you mentioned collectibles. So I want to bring this one into the show here for you, because this is one of the articles that we have in the newsletter. So Walmart angles to be the safe place to buy collectibles. I guess they are partnering with Shortboxed. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're adding 10,000 comics to its marketplace through Shortboxed. So that's not sports cards like you deal with, but kind of interesting since you mentioned that they're focusing on that market.
Yeah, Shortboxed is a term in comic books. Like when you go into a comic book store, which I'm not a comic book guy, but the comic books are in a box, and the short box version means something. I don't know exactly what, but that's a comic book term.
Okay. Do you have any experience selling collectibles on Walmart yet, or eBay is your primary place for all that yet?
eBay, 100%. But just the other day, it's interesting. It was an older lady. She had to be about 60 years old, and I happened to be talking to her about sports cards. And and she says she loves buying sports. She was buying 1956 tops. So she's old and buying even older cards, 1956 tops on Walmart, because why? If she didn't like them, she could return them in store. So
that
was kind of an interesting marketplace play where, eBay obviously doesn't have that. The problem with that is the selling community does not like any kind of returns. And there's a lot of things out there about if you walk in Walmart or Target and they have all those that kind of sports card aisle. There's a lot of nefarious activity going on in that aisle. They're weighing boxes, they're returning boxes, and people in customer service are putting open boxes back on the shelf. They've got a lot of work to do, but it's something like a $10 billion market, and growing with Fanatics behind it. And Fanatics has a giant marketplace, and of course eBay is the marketplace. So Walmart wants to play, and they're going after comic books first, which is interesting because there's not really a leader in the comic book space. So
and it's not a market that Amazon, I don't think, has portrayed any interest in. So it's a wide open market for people to take it. And eBay still, it's a fine place. I buy some stuff on there, especially like replacement parts and things like that you are harder to find on Amazon for whatever reason. I would say the shopping experience isn't as nice on eBay versus Amazon. So if Walmart can do everything that eBay is doing and also provide a much better shopping experience, they may have some ability to take that market share from eBay.
And then going back to the last bit of news, just something that we didn't mention is Fanatics. And so we operate in the licensed collegiate world quite a bit, actually, with a couple different brands that we work with. And Fanatics is fanatic about getting exclusive partnerships. If you have a a board game, or if you've got a specialty line, if you've got the license to produce Alabama football shirts, Fanatics wants you to sign an exclusive deal with them and not sell on Amazon. They're like going head to head, and Fanatics is a great place to buy collegiate wear. So
Okay.
I don't know if they're winning. I mean, they're certainly growing, and they're multi-billion-dollar company at this point with lots of good backers, but they don't want you selling on Amazon.
But it's a third-party marketplace, Fanatics.
So it's a little bit hidden. I believe it's like a marketplace, but Fanatics sends the seller labels. So
Got it. Okay.
yeah, Fanatics owns the customer. And
Yeah. Okay. So kind of like Target a little bit. Target doesn't hide the third-party seller, but they're extremely exclusive with who they allow to sell.
right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good.
Eric, we need to talk about my sports card collection. I think you might be my savior.
Oh, I'm sure.
My sports card problem will become your problem after this is over, I think.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump on to the next article here. AI that predicts what shoppers will buy. It's already here. So Ethan shared research showing that large language models such as ChatGPT, Grok, etc., can predict actual purchase intent with up to 90% accuracy by simulating customer personas, viewing product images, and generating feedback. The models outperform traditional machine learning methods without any fine-tuning or specialized training. For Amazon sellers, this breakthrough could revolutionize product testing, ad optimization, and listing strategy by allowing AI to forecast buyer reactions before launch. It points to a future where sellers can validate product market fit instantly using AI-driven customer simulations. So we've talked a little bit about AI earlier and how sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. So up to 90% accuracy is pretty good. So I'm curious if you guys have played with this at all with launching. I know none of us are exclusively private label companies, but I believe you've done some private label, Eric, and Chris, I'm sure you've worked with a lot of private label people. Have you had anybody or talked to anybody that's used this kind of market research?
So we have not. It's really interesting. Other than anecdotally, we use ChatGPT and Grok all the time for things. We tend to trust our own market research and our own data farming around this. But it's interesting. I don't know if I would ever trust this 100% over our methods that we've used in the past, but laying this on top seems like a really good idea.
Yeah, this wasn't as hot of a story. We did our annual conference. We did it in France this year, which was a good 4 months ago now. And I don't remember a ton of talk about this then. I think this kind of crested over the summer or maybe last month. But I think certainly by Q1, this will be a hot topic with all. We work mostly with private label brands. We work with some resellers, but generally as a rule, not so much anymore. And any responsible brand would be tinkering with this, at least in the early stages right now, because whatever version of this is in existence and commonly used 6 to 9 months from now, they're going to want mastery of that as quickly as possible, right? So,
yeah, I'm with you, Eric, definitely on adding this to your tool bag, right? And it's only going to get better. But one of the keys, though, is that you have to put in your customer demographic profile. And I don't know about you guys with the clients that you work with, but I find a lot of the people don't know their customer demographic that well as they should know it anyways.
Really? Even with all the resources and tools out there, you think it's largely in the dark?
if they do think they know it, it's not usually 100% accurate. Like what they think in their mind is their demographic is not necessarily backed up when you look at the Amazon tools in who's purchasing their products, for example.
Okay.
So that'll be a key, because if you got to know your customer and make sure you're putting in the proper demographics, if you're, because garbage in, garbage out, as they say. So you got to make sure you know that inside and out. And if it's a brand new product launch, you may not necessarily know that. But, it's a tool that you can use on top of everything else you're doing. All right.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess on top of that, what do you guys do with your clients in terms of helping them make sure they're targeting their demographic that they're supposed to on Amazon? This might be more for Eric, Chris, since you're more helping people who are already selling and having problems. But do you have any specific tools, Eric, that you use to help your clients determine that?
So we usually work with them, and a lot of times there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there in the Amazon world, as you know. A lot of the customers, by the time they reach us, it is like disaster mode. And so their picture is 15 years old and it's of the wrong thing. They're not into like dialing it in, but once we work with them for, let's say, a year and just like get the wheels back on the track, then we start thinking about, okay, what are we going to start testing? And we don't necessarily use any specific tools. We go back to the client, put our knowledge with their knowledge and say, what's changed what do you know, like that's changed in your field or within, this particular product. And sometimes one of the examples I give is like with 3M, they sell glues and adhesives. And so they're not an exclusive partner with us at all, but we can do some things with listings with them as things change with glues and adhesives. Cars used to be made out of steel and aluminum, and now there's a lot of plastic. And so what kind of glues and adhesives do you need to use? And what kind of cars do you need to show on certain listings that make sense today that didn't make sense 5 years ago? And so AI can work with that, but a lot of times we just go straight to the source. Like what does the brand know about their product and their customer first?
Yep. Yeah. And definitely they should have data on that if it's a product that's been selling a while. And if they're a brand new, just launching kind of product, then basically diving into their top competitors on Amazon and outside of Amazon and try to determine what the demographic is from those competitors, which unfortunately you can't get as much information on your competitors as you can your own brand on Amazon. But you can get a pretty good sense based on their images and stuff on who they're targeting and such. You're assuming that they know who they're targeting. But if you look at enough of your competitors and you see all their images are of 60-year-old men, well, then that's probably your demographic that you're aiming at, most likely. But you can also use ChatGPT or AI to find out what your demographic is, at least see what it thinks the demographic is for your kind of product as well. So all those kind of tools that you can use and weave everything together to figure that out. All right, let's go ahead and jump on to our last story here. Flip over. So German cartel office investigating Temu over merchant price influencing. So Germany's antitrust regulator has launched an investigation into Temu for allegedly influencing how third-party merchants price their products on its marketplace. Authorities suspect that Temu may be imposing restrictions that limit competition and could lead to higher prices across other platforms. For Amazon sellers, this highlights the increasing global scrutiny on e-commerce pricing practices, especially around price parity and control over third-party listings. As regulators target aggressive marketplace tactics, Amazon sellers should expect continued policy tightening and greater oversight in Europe and beyond. So this kind of goes well with the news that, Amazon is also being sued over this. There's an ongoing lawsuit over buy box suppression and manipulation of pricing. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts on where you see that going, and will we eventually maybe see a time where we don't have suppressed buy boxes and such on Amazon, or you think they'll keep pushing that?
If it's part of, you're talking about the antitrust lawsuit?
Correct. Yeah.
That's probably going to be settled. I don't know if I have enough info to predict where the larger antitrust lawsuit's going. But I think eventually this will be solved to the point where there'll be a yes or no of whether or not Amazon can continue to make these price parity demands, or they'll just agree to some sort of middle ground on it.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, Amazon is kind of used to getting what it wants. So forcing people to keep the same prices across all platforms seems to be, pending the result of that settlement / lawsuit, the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and the tricky thing is just living in a capitalist world. Some of this you just have to deal with, because at the end of the day, and this is the question the courts are going to have to decide. Like, I don't have to abide by Amazon's rules because I don't have to sell on Amazon. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that happens to be a pretty big part of what we do. But anybody has that choice. You can open up a shop, put out a shingle, and sell whatever you want to sell. Will the courts decide that Amazon is like bigger than that? I don't know. Depends who's in power, what judge you have. Which way the wind is blowing politically, I think makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I think the American voter / consumer wants some sort of fairness. So I don't know where I'd put my chips on that particular one. And if it goes one way, if Amazon all of a sudden can't do buy box suppression, will there be other ways that they can manipulate the market? And they're pretty smart people over there. So my guess is they're not going to stop just because the government tells them one thing. They'll just work their way around it.
Maybe your item would suddenly not be available to ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that, or it just
you
more
can buy
subtly that you stop getting displayed as much in searches.
Right.
Be more subtle about it. Those kind of things are harder to pick up on. Like, suddenly I dropped from rank 2 to 25. And how do you prove that was because your price is lower on your Shopify store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough to present real-time legal arguments when it's happening in real time, but the actual court argument happens 2 years down the road.
Yeah. And Amazon's not going to open source their algorithm anytime soon. So.
Right.
Yeah. But, we're talking about the US, but of course, this is over in Germany and the EU, and they tend to be much more warm towards government, regulations and coming down on these kind of things. And when it happens over there, a lot of times it can trickle back over here. So, if they start hammering Temu and Amazon on these price fixing policies, then we'll probably see changes over here as well, regardless of how the lawsuit comes down over here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely correct, Eric, that we live in a capitalist society and people have choices. But at the same time, it definitely is. It seems wrong to me that Amazon is going to have giant fees and then force us to charge the same price on our Shopify store that doesn't have them to sell the product. There's definitely something not morally right about that.
Agreed. I'm with you.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Whether we can do anything about it or should do anything about it in a capitalist society, that's another question. But morally, definitely not right. But big business is definitely not always moral, as we all know.
I mean, if it doesn't get resolved now through whatever attention, scrutiny from the FTC, from the antitrust lawsuit, whatever, if this is not the occasion, then what would the future occasion be? Because if they power pass this unscathed, then they're you're looking at years ahead of kind of nothing else as an obstacle. So
yeah, it's true. And at the same time, the negative publicity that Amazon gets over things like this and lots of other things can also have the effect of, lifting competitors like Walmart and, even Temu and Shine and things like that. So you can have that effect as well if Amazon is accused of price fixing and customers don't like that, and that pushes some of them to maybe use Walmart, or as sellers, fees keep going up. So we're like, hey, maybe I'm going to try this Walmart thing and see how it goes. And that will potentially lift up competition, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, as Shopify grows, I mean, to me, this is not about the Shopify seller. There's no seller big enough to take on Amazon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But could Shopify take on Amazon on behalf of sellers? That'd be interesting to me. Or does Walmart? Walmart could certainly take on Amazon in this. If they ever, to Chris's point, is Walmart really interested in their marketplace business? I mean, yeah, but not like Amazon.
To me, Shopify has the biggest opportunity that it's missing right now. If Shopify was to create a marketplace, basically just by allowing all their Shopify stores to opt in, do you want your products to show up on this marketplace? And combine that with, the search functionality of ChatGPT or some other AI system, I think they could make a really good play for it, but it's just a matter of if they have the will to do it.
Right.
I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Chris?
I don't touch the Shopify world too much. It seems to me like kind of what I said earlier. I think Walmart, going back to them, they shouldn't be content with their XYZ% growth every year and just say, oh, that's nice. That's better than last year. I mean, that's like a starting point. If they're ever interested in making a serious challenge, I mean, Amazon kind of took over and dominated e-commerce a long time ago, right? I mean, not in every country, not in every marketplace, but in the big ones, minus in China. But if Walmart really wants to make a move, they're going to have to find the pain points and weak spots that Amazon has and press on those and devote personnel to that and resources to that, and to try to make up for lost time, If Walmart is very seller friendly, right? I mean, Eric works with this a lot more, but my impression is that they're welcoming sellers with open arms, especially sellers who have been kicked off Amazon with open arms, which was the, I guess, somewhat unflattering quote I gave CNBC the other day about Walmart accepting all the kicked off sellers from Amazon. Yeah. That's kind of the way I view it. I mean, I'm not working with it every day, and maybe it's unfair to an extent, but I mean, they're going to have to make a major change and leaps and bounds, make up for some lost time if they want to be, Amazon killed or took over e-commerce. I mean, now what's left? Well, the rest of retail.
Yep.
So who's their main challenger for that? Walmart. So where is the tete-a-tete, collision of the two heavyweights? Where is that? Because I'm not seeing it on the horizon now. And I think part of that is because Walmart's sort of sitting it out. But if sellers continue to get disenchanted with Amazon, then that creates an opportunity for Walmart to step in and say, you know what? We're going to be the nice ones, and Amazon's going to carry the ugly stick. And if you get tired of that routine, we will give you incentives, or we will show you love in some ways that maybe you didn't expect that we would, and we'll make up for some lost time that way. I mean, that's the most interesting piece of it to me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to go back to a comment that you made, Eric, about the pie still growing, I think that's an important point as well, because we kind of think of today that, everybody's in e-commerce, especially being in it. But really, I'm kind of making an assumption on your guys' age, but I think our age is probably the last generation that lived before e-commerce and is now in e-commerce. And I think we're all probably in our 40s, I'm guessing.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
You look like you're in your 40s.
Cool.
But anybody over that is maybe not using Amazon nearly as much as we are, and definitely not as much as the generations after us. So that pie is definitely going to keep growing, at least for the next maybe 20 years, give or take. So yeah, I mean, that's a positive thing, I think, for anybody selling in e-commerce, that the pie is going to keep getting bigger for a while yet.
Yeah. Younger populations are going to be buying everything with their phones, or whatever phones become in the next 10 years, when phones aren't phones at all anymore. Who are the people born, in the last 5 years, who are they going to be replacing? All of the older population that didn't do as much e-commerce buying before. And those people will not be in the marketplace and not be doing any buying. They're going to be replaced by active, digital buyers, right? So
Yep, absolutely.
Sky's the limit.
All right, cool. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Chris, Eric, I appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Tons of fun.
And
do it again.
Everybody out there watching, thanks for joining us. We're going to be moving the show to Thursdays in November. So just want to put that in your guys' minds. But until then, next Friday, we'll see you again at 1 p.m. Eastern. Everybody have an awesome weekend.
You too.